Hello and welcome back to Campo Largo. We will be continuing where we left off, which, if you recall, is after Elder Hartley pretty much didn't transform back. He seems to be stuck in a sort of canine body now. He has paws instead of his little hoof thingies. And his snout, everything else about his face, head is sort of canine-like now, and his horns fell off, and the little nub area where the horns are supposed to grow out of, that's missing also. So yeah. Not only that, but he kind of locked Eldra Suarez inside of the pench, so the guy can't go after him. So yeah, things are not going well for him. And I believe that he is going to try to find Drubek. So hopefully the guy can, help him transform back or tell him what's going on, because yeah, he went from a deer to a werewolf-like creature. And I'm pretty sure that has nothing to do with the fact that this horse keeps popping up, but yeah. Anywho, what else? But yeah, like I said, the horse. Every single time the horse comes to mind, shows up in real life or whatever, something happens to Elder Hartley. So yeah. I'm pretty sure that it's not Drubek who did this, but yeah. Anywho, so without further ado, let us continue Campo Largo. Chapter 5. I'm out. I'm outside, and the smell of the dust and the plants and the open air are good, very good. But there are boxes on either side, big flat shapes. There are not enough trees. There's no brush. There's not supposed to be light at night, not like this. I'm not supposed to be here. I need to get away. I come to a clearing, hoping that I've reached the edge of this nightmare forest. But there are others here. I can see them. They're taller than they are long, and they're pointing and making noises. Oh, no. I peel away. I shouldn't be seen. My feet pound on the too hard, too wide path. It's dark on either side, just for a moment. I run past, strides long, but turn around. There, that's my way out, in the dark. I hear the calls of the others, voices talking, barking, and veer off into the dark. They're coming for me. There's something solid. I fold myself behind it so that they can't see me when they come. My tongue hangs out, my breathing fast and frantic. I squeeze my knees to my chest. Everything is longer, thinner than I am. And then I remember. I'm still breathing hard. I'm sitting on concrete in the dark. The western sky is fading. Moonlight comes from higher in the east. All the artificial light, though, is blocked by the low wall behind which I am hiding. I look over, careful not to move. It's the war memorial by the train tracks. I'm by the train tracks. My body is all wrong. And through the haze of my memories of the past couple of minutes, I realize they saw me. As I was running from the bench, a group of people in the plaza saw me. It's Friday night. Of course there were people in the plaza and nearby. Now that I focus on it, even here I can smell oil boiling for food and meat grilling. I can hear the stereo blasting some tunes with a heavy beat somewhere. And I recall, with another stomach somersault, I locked Elder Suarez inside the bench. I bury my face with all of its wrong angles in my hands, with all of its wrong curves. What was I thinking? I wasn't thinking. I had a destination before I momentarily lost my mind. It's such a casual self-diagnosis, losing my mind, that it scares me. I wasn't just trying to get away, much less get into the dark. I won't find a cure in El Monte. A cure. The cards. Drubek. The bird who started all of this. I catch myself pulling back my upper lip and emanating a snarl. No, I need to be quiet. He's right by the railroad tracks. I'm very close, a few blocks away. It's dark too. But there's also no cover, and a dark shape darting over the short grass would stick out. I'm also not far enough away from the main avenida to be outside of the reach of the streetlights. Shadows pour out down the tracks from where I crouch, the memorial's outline stretched immensely. And from the street, I can now hear voices, anthropic and canine, distinct but speaking loudly and getting louder. Nearing. I need to go fast. Get to the dark houses on the far side of the tracks, weave around, confuse them, hide, until I can find Drubek's house. I unfold myself. Everything's too long, and it takes some effort to move from the sitting position into a position of readiness. Even then, I feel like I'm back in the starter block during that one season of track I did in middle school, which I hated. An ear on top of my head folds backwards towards the voices. I catch the word lobison. I recall the news article that I read. A shot goes off. At least, I think I caught a firearms sharp report. I can't tell if it's something that I actually heard, something my brain conjured, or a memory of the start of a race, but it electrifies my body. I leap up. The voices get excited. So much for surprise. They saw me. No matter. My first stride is easily 7 feet, or more. I'm not looking back, but before they are able to respond, I've crossed the tracks and covered the distance to the nearest house. It'll only take a few strides. So, as I ensconce myself beside the houses, there are no streetlights here, thank goodness. My sense of proportion goes haywire. I once revisited my childhood apartment, the first one where I'd formed clear memories. The yards that I recalled are as vast expanses were barely enough for a picnic, retaining walls my size now only reaching my waist. That's how I feel now. As I stand against the house, I can see over it without much effort. Everything has shrunken. No, I'm taller. I have to keep moving though. I slink along the outer walls of the houses, keeping as close to them as possible to obscure my silhouette. My ears detect voices getting closer. And then a stray dog sees me, growls, starts making a racket. I jump and skitter back, resolving to get away from the street. I place my hands on the upper edge of a house wall, deciding to try something crazy. I pull myself up, almost effortlessly, straightening my arms to bring my waist up to the top of the wall. On the other side isn't a wall, but about 6 inches down, a corrugated steel roof. Drat, no matter. Continuing my single upward motion, I swing one leg over the edge of the wall and roll onto the roof. Metallic clinks come from contact with my claws, groans from my unexpected weight. This would be a safe place to hide, I think. But I am not here to hide. Instead, I stand, moon casting my shadow across the wrinkles of the roof and run. Each step brings more planks of my claws scramble against the roof, and I hope that I'm long gone before the residents come to investigate. The roof of the next house, immediately adjoining this one, is something covered in tar paper, which muffles everything but footfalls. For a moment, I forget that I'm running from people who might just try to kill me. There's something exhilarating about this. When I finally have to leap down into a yard instead of onto the next roof, I take a moment to catch my breath and look myself over. I can't see too much in the blue light of the moon, but I can see dark paws, dark hands, pants and sleeves that fit comically poorly. My fur sticks out at my midriff. I scramble instinctively to tuck my white shirt in, but I can't. It's too short. My name tag is still there in my pocket. Then there is a scream behind me. I turn my head around just as an exterior light comes on, almost blinding me. Someone's in the open doorway. I've been seen. Without a second thought, I vault over the next wall. I'm back on the street, on the next block. Okay, maybe rooftop running wasn't the best way to stay incognito. It's dark along the tracks now, though, and if anyone is trying to follow me by scent, I have given them a hard time. I run back to the road fronting the tracks and sprint, weaving in between trees in case anyone's watching. I've lost track of the number of blocks, but the loud voices fade. I'm outpacing them. As I finally pass Taller Alvarez and see Drubek's, though I'm starting to realize that I'm getting winded, I can outrun them but only temporarily. I need to solve this. Now. Beyond the parked car is his door. Instinctively, as I halt, I brush off my shirt and pants. I bend myself over to bring my head to level with the top of the door. I press one padded fingertip against the doorbell button. The cherry tune plays inside. I wait. Too long. I press it again, harder. And for good measure, again and again, one after the other. The ding-dongs trip over themselves. A familiar voice comes from deep within the house, sounding annoyed. I'm coming. I detect footsteps approaching. A key turns in the lock, the doorknob turns. My upper lip peels back. I draw air in through my nostrils. The door cracks open, light breaking out. There is the magpie. His tentative, irked gaze first meets my torso, expecting his visitor's face to be there. I watch his eyes turn upward. They meet mine, and they widen, his beak opening in shock. I don't wait. I shove my shoulder against the door so that he can't close it on me. The door swings open, slamming against the wall with a crash. Drubek, still dressed, is knocked aside, barely keeping his footing. He catches himself on the edge of the desk, spilling a pile of books and papers across it and onto the floor. I'm inside. Without breaking eye contact with the avian, I step forward, reaching back to close the door behind me. I can't rise to my full height in here, so I have to hunch over as I close in on Ivan. He looks up at me, more afraid than I've ever seen anyone in my life. There is no thought in his dark eyes. The door clicks shut. My tone is cold, precise, knife-edged. I use informal voz, not formal usted. What did you do to me? His voice, by contrast, comes out almost as a squeak. What? The knife in my voice becomes a chainsaw as I almost roar, grabbing him by the shirt and pushing him back, down onto his cluttered desk. The desk screeches against the tile, the lamp clatters and almost falls. What did you do to me? My snout is inches from his beak. Its shine dulls where the exhalation from my nose condenses on its polished surface. My teeth are bared, all of them, all the way back. He's paralyzed, staring up at me. Neither of us move aside from breathing. When he speaks, it's halting, almost stuttering, but he regains enough determination to finish a phrase. I don't know who you are. I twist my right fist tighter into his shirt as my left hand rips the name tag off my shirt pocket. I hold it up to his face, inches from his left eye. I watch his pupils track over the letters, reading but not comprehending. He reads it 2 or 3 times more, looking between it and me. The last time that he looks back at my eyes, terror melting into fear. Elder Hartley? Is this a prank? I repeat myself, leaning even closer, a growl underlining each word. What did you do to me? He's silent for a time. I successfully conveyed that I wasn't playing around. Elder, I don't understand. I roar in his face and give him another shove, pushing the desk another couple of inches across the floor before I let go. I stalk around in a tiny circle, back still bent over, and return to glare at him. Yes, I'm Elder Hartley. He's trying to sit up on his desk, rubbing his side with a hand. His taloned, scaled avian feet dangle off the edge. He never looks away from me. What? Did you not recognize me? I spread my arms to show off exactly how much I look like a deer. He takes it in, but has no verbal answer. We came to visit you on Monday morning, remember? He nods quickly, compliantly. Well, of course, yes. And then that night, Tuesday morning, guess what started happening? I gesture to my whole body. He opens his beak and then closes it. I thought that it would go away. It did every morning until today, when it stuck. He nods again. And now I'm here, all lo bisonificado, and I'm not leaving until you fix me. I stab the air with a clawed finger, pointing at him. He flinches, even though I'm 3 feet away. Until you undo whatever little spell or hex or curse you put on me. I cross my arms, noticing as I do, so that my forearms are longer than my torso is wide. It's very awkward, probably not as intimidating as I want. So I pull back my upper lip to expose a fang. I see his eyes go wider for a moment. Elder. He stops, and I let out a growl to prompt him to continue. He puts up a black outlined palm. Tranqui, tranqui. I let the rumble die in my throat, but I don't soften my glare. He adjusts himself on his desk, one hand finding a pen and rolling it between its fingers. Elder, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't curse you, or anything like that. I don't reply, simmering, fuming. He continues to fidget, awaiting my response. In the awkward silence, though, I hear the dogs continue to bark somewhere outside, maybe some shouts even. People could be searching for the creature they saw. For the lobison. For me. I'm not safe, even here. The panic starts to well up within me. I can't outrun them. Drubek must have read a change in my expression, his fear dissipating shockingly quickly. He cocks his head a couple of degrees in curiosity. I turn away from him. As much as I don't trust him, I need time to think. And then it hits me. Drubek has a car. He has a car. And I remember the picture that he showed us, him with missionaries gathered around an asada, a structure lost in the background. I spin towards him. He's gotten down from the desk and is in the middle of a step. I have no idea what he was planning, but I've interrupted him. Okay, here's what you're going to do. He stops. They're after me. I understand that they're not friendly to lobisones around here. Lobisones don't... I grab his beak in one large hand, sealing it shut and snipping his sentence in half. His eyes meet mine, wide. You, chamigo, are going to help me. You're going to pull your car in front of the house door so that I can get in. Then you're going to drive me out to your little quinta en el campo, and that's where we're going to solve this little predicament. ¿Comprendes? His range of motion is restricted by the grip that I have on his beak, but I can feel that he's trying to nod. I let him go. Bien. Now go get the car ready. I jab my thumb towards the door. He nods again and gets busy. I watch looming as he gathers keys, other clothes and half a dozen books and then vanishes out the door into the night. The car door opens and shuts, a motor protests and then sputters into life beside the office. A thought. I hadn't been in a room alone for months, besides the bathroom. I'll get back to my companion after this is all squared away. I hear the car back into the road, crunch on the dirt and gravel and stop in front of the door, engine idling. I turn off the light before I open the door. I don't want to be highlighted for any onlookers. I blink as my eyes readjust to the night. I make myself as short and inconspicuous as possible and cross the zanja to the back door of the car. Even in the dark, I can see that it's not a nice car. It's not new, but it does look marginally well maintained. Maybe his neighbor helps with that. I press the button under the door handle. It doesn't unlatch until I press it again, harder, and the door swings out. I thought I was cramped in Drubek's office, but now I have to cram myself into the back seat. And fast. I can hear the shouting out here, and I swear that I see some lights coming on down the street. I dive in, but I have to roll onto my back in order to fit my legs in. Even then, the car is small enough that my ears are uncomfortably rubbing against the opposite door. I try and fail to snag and hold the door handle with a paw toe. My legs are folded up above me. I can't bend far enough for my arms to reach. Drubek looks back, then jumps out of the car and rushes to his house's front door. He hurriedly locks it. Looping back around, he grabs and slams my door. I see his eyes glint a second as he makes sure that I'm inside. He circles back to the driver's side and gets in, shifting the car out of park. We lurch forward. I try to be as small as possible, keeping my body below the edge of the windows. That, of course, means that I can't see out, mostly. I see the tops of the houses and trees as we pass them if I crane my neck. However, keeping my head partway up, especially with the car bouncing on every bump in the road, strains my neck tremendously. He does a Y-turn, that much I can tell. We go south along the frontage road, and he turns to the right. A double bump under each axle tells me that we've crossed the railroad, going west. After that, I lose track. I surrender and lie back, watching the lights we pass by dance across the interior roof of the car. Of course, this also means that I can't tell where exactly we're going. The vehicle smells of feathers and dust and gasoline, and my mind returns immediately to my first day in Parana. Delayed was the only one in my party arriving at the international airport and headed to Conquista, so I had to catch a remis by myself to the domestic airport across La Plata, the sprawling Paranero metropolis. I'd gone with the driver who had the church's name on his sign at the pickup location, but as we kept driving, I grew more and more worried. I couldn't quite express myself in Spanish. The driver didn't seem to recognize the temple when we drove past it. And I was alone. A worst-case scenario drifted into my mind. Perhaps I was being kidnapped. I needed to start memorizing our route. About 7 or 8 turns in, I realized how futile a resolution that was. I didn't have a GPS device in my brain. I didn't have MapQuest for La Plata. So I went to my plan B, jump out of the car if needed. I didn't have local currency, much less a phone. But I could find someone and communicate at least that I needed help. I imagined myself rolling out of the car onto the side of some road, abandoning all my luggage to the kidnapper and begging assistance in stilted Spanish from random passerby. And then we arrived at the church's La Plata office, where we picked up the paperwork for my second flight. None of the catastrophes had come to pass. I'd been uselessly paranoid. The car gives a jolt as a final light sweeps through the cabin, leaving shadows in its wake. We must have left the town. So here I am again, alone in a car with a stranger, heading to a place that I don't know, where I know we'll be alone together, where I think we'll be alone together. I don't know where we're going. I don't know what will be there. I don't know how I'll get back if I have to run. I don't know what I'll do if I get back and I'm still this. Didn't they say that the strikers had cut off all the entrances and exits to the town? What if we can't get out? What if they find me? And what does Drubek think about Lobisons? Could he have a gun out in the quinta? What if he's a Lobison hunter? Okay, that's a stupid thought. Those only exist in urban fantasy novels. Well, Lobisons only existed in urban legends before this week, didn't they, Elder? Quiet, you. If it comes to that, I'll just have to run into the Monte and figure it out from there. There's no Big Dipper, no northern star in the sky, not down here in Parana. But I could probably still find my way back. And if he detains me somehow, don't they say that avians have particularly fragile bones? I shudder. I don't want to hurt anyone, but I won't let them hurt me. What if he does have magical powers of some sort? What if you just turned yourself over to him? What if the spirits abandoned you because of your lack of faith? And so my thoughts go spinning around and around as the side window goes wholly and completely dark, the only light filtering in from the reflections of the headlights against the ground ahead of us. We haven't been stopped yet, I suppose, so that's a good sign. They certainly won't be able to track me out this way. And they won't be able to find your body. Not that they'd recognize it at all. Shut up. Between my frantic mind and the monotony of the engine's sound and the view of the car's ceiling, time seems to dilate. I'm not sure how long it's been when, after a couple of turns, Drubek downshifts, slows, parks, and stops the engine. An eerie silence rushes in to fill the vacuum left by the departure of the mechanical white noise. Drubek's voice has a matter-of-fact tone of resignation. His seat creaks as he sits back. We're here. Chapter 6. I open the car door by my head. Instantly, I hear a low cacophony of night sounds, all sorts of etheric calls and sounds and rattles that I can't identify from every direction. Ignoring them, I wriggle, stumbling out. It wasn't a long car ride really, but long and bumpy enough for my muscles and joints to complain about my unnatural posture. I stretch as Drubek exits the car. I take a step away from him. I can't really read his expression before he reaches back into the car to grab the materials that he brought. All right, vamos. It's then that I look around. Most of the terrain in any direction is fields of some low-growing crops. The road that we came in is dirt. Unlike the deliberately packed earthen roads in the town, I suspect that this was merely cleared and used. There were even plants growing between the wheel ruts. Drubek's walking away, his feet swish through the dried plants. I project his trajectory and see what must be the quinta. Lurking amid a copse of tall trees is a small brick building. Around its side that I can see a covered patio with one of the brick chimneys often used for asadas. The property, however, looks overgrown, uncared for. Weeds clutter between us and the quinta, and I follow Drubek as he traces what must have been once the obvious approach to the building. We weave between shrubs, the tallest of which only reach my knees. Now that I'm walking around not in the fugue state and not on tile, the uncanniness of pause sends a shiver of discomfort up my spine. I'm so used to tendons and ligaments absorbing weight and pressure, sometimes each cloven hoof toe moved separately to accommodate some unevenness in the terrain. But now, it's not only the connective tissues but the bottoms of my very feet that flex and squish to balance me out. Just thinking about it and thinking that I can feel it, that it's my body threatening to make me queasy. I redirect my attention to Drubek's long, fan-like feather tail in front of me, swaying as he walks. I hear him sigh. I inherited this chakra with the quinta from my parents. I haven't been the best caretaker. I used to, but... I think he's talking mostly to himself, rambling. He's got his keyring out, jiggling through them as he reaches a door. He holds out one to the moonlight, inspecting it. Apparently deciding that it's the correct one, he unlocks the door and steps into the even deeper shadow, palming the inside wall. I hope the light bulb flickers inside and comes to life with a single popping noise. Ah, good. Good. I was worried that the bulb had burned out, or that the line had gotten cut, or that a fuse burned out or rusted, or something. It's been a while. He's counting on his fingers. 4 years? 5? I don't remember. Yes, he's definitely mainly talking to himself, as well as standing just inside the threshold, blocking the way. Ducking my head under the door jamb, right behind his head feathers, I clear my throat. The noise so close startles him with a squawk. Out of whatever revere had carried him away, his feathers fluff out and he steps out of the way, trying to brush them back down. They fluff back out, defying his self-evident wishes, but I'm already looking inside. It's pretty Spartan. Mostly it appears to be a single room with a wooden table and chairs, a kitchenette and an alcove, a queen-size bed that fills most of the space. On the walls are a yellowed calendar from 2003, it looks like, a map of Parana and a framed print of a gaucho riding a etheric horse, both comically caricatured. Windows flank the space, stark black rectangles behind gauzy faded curtains. A door leads into another room, my guess a bathroom. I step inside the quinta and find, to my pleasure, that the roof here is peaked, not flat. I can stand up with good amount of clearance in the center of the room. The smell, though, is stale. If any person had been here recently, I feel like they had been able to identify them and their last 2 meals. But if anyone has been here, they're as imperceptible as a ghost. Confirming the state of abandonment, everything is covered in dust. It's like a faded photograph with the colors leached out. As I stand there, taking everything in, Drubek's clattering in the cabinet under the sink. He turns the handle on the faucet and it coughs like a victim of tuberculosis before it spits out a splatter of water. He runs it for a minute until it becomes more or less clear. It must be coming from a tank of rainwater on the roof, and then wets a rag under it. He bustles past me and goes to wipe off the table and the 2 chairs, pulling each out as he does so. He gestures at one of the now dust-free chairs, an invitation for me to sit. We trade places as I stalk over and drop myself onto the chair, my thighs and knees sprawling out in front of me as I do. He goes to retrieve his small pile of books from the sink counter, setting them down on the tabletop when he returns. I see that one of them is a dream dictionary. The spines of the others are facing away from me. He sits behind them, the books a sort of barricade, when I can easily look over. I can tell that he'd prefer to lean his elbows on the table, but he's wary. He's keeping his distance. I'm fine with that. Ahem. He returns his gaze, unspeaking. Right, so, let's solve this, shall we? He waves a hand, encompassing everything from my ear to my foot paws. Yes, let's. There was another pause. So, Elder, just to eliminate the obvious, to begin, are you, a seventh son with no intervening daughters? I shake my head. Did a strange animal walk between your legs? I shake my head. Does this happen periodically? No. With each negative answer, he puts down a finger that he was holding up. And the full moon, the wolf moon to boot, is next week, a couple days from now. He puts down the last finger. Okay, you're not a normal one, according to the local and popular legends that I'm familiar with. As he falls into his analytical mode, his fear seems to release its hold. He strokes the underside of his beak with a finger. So, back at, my place, you mentioned our meeting on Monday. I nod in confirmation. If I recall correctly, you didn't let me finish the reading. You said you had to go. I stare at him. I suspect that he's tactically inquiring whether I was honest in that statement. I don't volunteer anything, and I cross my arms. Something about the gesture feels askew. I look down. Not only is my pocket empty, bereft of the ever-present agenda and missionary handbook, but my name tag is gone too. There's an urge to get up, search the room, go out into the night, but I know that it can't be here, and Hermano Drubek is talking again. Think that I know which card you drew. Others tend to have, a strong reaction when they get the card at first. He pulled a deck from his pants pocket and is rifling through it with his thumb. He finds what he's looking for, draws it and slides it across the table to me. Yep. It's the card. Death. His scythe glistens in the sunset, rope ripples in the wind. The blank eyes burrow into mine, lodging themselves in the crevices of my brain. I can almost see his lips quirk up in a smile, not devious or teasing, either. Elements of my recent dreams bubble up, and the memories that they were drawing from. No, not here. Not again. I look away back up at Drubek. That was quite a strong reaction to my eye. I'll take that as a yes. He puts out a hand to gather it up, but I'm quicker, planting an index finger on the card. The claw threatens the horse print nose. These cards of yours got me into this mess, hermano. How do you propose that they'll get me out? There is that old saying about the hair of the dog, Elder, and you came to him because your attempts didn't. Shut up. Drubek pauses. He doesn't match my barely diluted venom, but his voice is hard. How do you propose that I help you, Elder, if you won't let me finish a thought? I fume, but I lift my hand. He takes back the card, holding it up. I don't care if you believe that the cards are conduits to spirits, or a window into the future, or just a meditation tool, or whatever. In either case, like I said, you didn't let me finish the reading. You left it hanging. He puts death down and lays down a couple more cards. You should know, Elder, that death is not the worst card that you can get. The Tower is much worse. The Ten of Swords, too. I look at those as he lays them out. A tower struck by lightning, crackling violently, aligned with 10 swords stuck in his back, like a large print version of Julius Caesar's assassination. Respectively and succinctly, some sort of catastrophe and some sort of betrayal. He sweeps them up into the deck and centers death. I'm squeezing the pad on my left index finger with my right hand. So, Elder, you seem to be a smart one. Would that preface any guesses as to what death might symbolize? The texture of the pad is rough, the structure like a firm stress ball. This is inane. It's the misbegotten offspring of therapy and superstition. I could come up with a sincere answer. I've written essays about literature, but I want to get something practical. What does it symbolize then? It doesn't matter that I swore off sarcasm months ago. It's how I convey my justified impatience. I don't know. Death? He fixes me with his avian stare, the beak-down variety that you often see in the posters of politicians or celebrities trying to look tough. Things don't symbolize themselves, Elder. That would be tautology. Oh dear heavens. Fine, tell me what this card supposedly means. I exaggerate my tone with a hefty dollop of disdain. Something's struck a nerve. Drubek rolls his eyes and throws his hands up in a full-body gesture of exasperation. It means change, Elder. Change. He punctuates his words with a chopping gesture at the table. Part of me is proud that I've apparently gotten to him. And judging from what I can see of your case, a prediction of change appears to have been entirely accurate. He waves a hand at me. And unpredictably literal. We sit in silence, neither looking at the other. The frog songs filter in through the single-pane glass in the windows. The light bulb emits a low buzz. I muse that we could be as loud as we wanted out here, and no one would hear us. We're out in El Campo, after all. It strikes me that we're closed off. A submersible of light sunken in an ocean of dark. Anything could be right outside, listening in, peering through the windows and the gaps around the door, trying to pierce the curtains, lapping from the narrow beams of light leaking out. My skin begins to crawl, my fur prickles. I lightly scratch the tip of a claw on the pad that grew from my right palm. Typically, I'd be able to convince myself that I'm safe, that nothing could get in. That there's really nothing out there that can hurt us. I flex my toes on the cold floor. But the past couple of days have taught me that I am not safe in my own mind, my own body. Who knows what's outside of my head? I shiver despite the stagnant mugginess trying to shake off the unpleasant thoughts like water after a swim. I'm glad when my counterpart breaks the impasse. So to be honest, Elder. He hesitates, waiting until our eyes meet, and he's sure that I'm listening. I don't think the card referred to bodily change. The cards are typically more subtle than that. So let's find which. You said something, though, about the changes happening at night, correct? I nod. I did say that. He lifts the dream dictionary out of a stack of books, shifting the others aside. Do you, by chance, remember any of your dreams from those nights? Any details at all? Most of the dreams have faded, but in part due to the bits that I journaled about upon waking, I can recall some details. A field of cotton, El Monte, a building crumbling, now even more ominous. Elder Suarez, a door. Neon laser lights. Her. The horse. I balk, my ears flattening back against my skull. I don't want to talk about any of it. Not with him, not with anyone. I honestly just wish that I could forget it all, start anew. But I can't say that either. He's studying me, as I think he's scanning my features, trying to read between their lines. I need to say something though, if only to keep his eyes from burrowing into me. This is lying, and this is being a little butthead. If I try to lie, he'll probably be able to realize that I'm lying. But if I be snarky, is he really going to try to help? No, I don't remember my dreams. It's all a jumble. Drubek narrows his eyes in skepticism. I look away, as if he could pry out my memories through eye contact, dredging the depths of the interior of my head. Maybe he could do that, I don't know. To be honest, Elder, it sounds like you're hiding something. I snort out of my nose. I'm not gonna share what he wants me to share. Why does he feel like he can just ask? Hermano, your job is tricking people into thinking that your hocus pocus gives you the keys to understand the universe. Forgive me that I am not immediately forthcoming. I almost jump as his palms slam down on the table. The sound echoes in the small room. He's been serious before, but he hasn't been angry. His feathers expand out again. It's a threat display. An ineffective one, but still a threat display. Elder, I will accept skepticism. That's normal. The stuff that I deal with is strange and esoteric. His fists ball up, muscles taut on top the dream dictionary. He turns to look up at me. But what I will not accept is accusations against my honor. I swear to you, Elder, no miento. I do not lie. His feathers flatten slightly. Elder, you say that you came to me for help, yet you're rejecting all the tools that I have to help you. We sit tense, unspeaking. I don't say that he could use better tools. And then his hand relaxes, a fingertip tracing the edge of the book's cover. I want to help you. I'm sure that I must be very frightening. I've never encountered anything like what you're going through. His stare goes unfocused, looking somewhere that isn't here, now. And the elders were always friendly. I owe you a modicum of their friendship. You know, it might not make a difference, Elder, but if it will help us get to work, to help you trust me, I am willing to prove as best as I can that I am sincere, okay? He looks back to me, determination in his expression. Fine. Ask me any question. I'll answer it honestly. I'm put on the spot. I know that it's logically fallacious to assume that his perception of his own truthfulness would attest to the objectivity of his methods. But he's right that I'm rejecting them out of hand. I pass one palm over the opposite forearm's black fur. And maybe, with this promise of his, I can get some answers to queries that I've had. This whole situation is unbelievable in its weirdness, but I've just got to run with it. I'll be upfront with my question. All right then. First, why do you do all of this parapsychology stuff? The answer comes back readily. He's had to answer this before. Because I like to help people get ahead in life. I also believe that there are all sorts of unseen forces around us, things that traditional science can't measure, but that can help or hurt us. And I am not arrogant enough to assume that the universe is an open book that can be grasped without study and hard work. Sincerity isn't proof of empirical truth, yes, but he sounds sincere. He looks over at me. I keep my face impassive, not divulging anything. He knows what I think of him and his ventures. Let's see if it's reciprocated. Okay, second question. What do you think of Mormonism? His eyes are still locked with mine. One of his shoulders shrugs. Oh, it's true. I cannot but let surprise, even incredulity, rise to my face. My ears swivel forward atop my skull. What? He shifts back in his chair, crossing a leg over the other and airlocking his fingers over his knee. I don't know why you're surprised, Elder. To most people, golden plates are no different from all of this. He nods towards his books, watching for my reaction. But yes, I believe that it's true. It explains things other churches don't. Baptism for the dead, degrees of glory, the relationship of Jesus to the people of the New World. Joseph Smith, despite his many faults, was a great man. Must have been, for all those visions. He knows that I didn't expect that answer, and I suspect that he's taking some smug pleasure in my being flabbergasted. I've never heard anyone who wasn't a member speak like that. I narrow my eyes, but there is no hint of mischief or mockery in his expression. I suppose that it explains his long engagement with the missionaries, but it does cause one question to leap instantly to the front of the queue. The question that I planned to ask on Monday morning, before death interrupted our chat. So wait, if you believe it, all of it, why didn't you get baptized? 7 years back, when the missionaries were still here. When his eyes meet mine this time, I watch as a firm determination to convince me sharpens briefly into shock and then a blank expression. He looks away, down at his knees. He's thinking about his answer, a lot harder than the previous ones. Eventually, the blank mask melts away, eyebrows turning up and corners of his beak turning down. In the short time that I've known him, I've seen him jovial, excited, afraid, offended. This is melancholy. I don't know exactly what tale this heralds, but I'm paying redoubled attention now. Here's a short answer. Because I lied, Elder. Well, that's vague. My inner recantor wants to throw his earlier protestations of honesty in his face, but I hold my sharp tongue behind my sharp teeth. I'd lied during my baptismal interview. But that's part of a longer story. I can't hold back a particle of snideness. Well, we have plenty of time, don't we? He shoots me back a consternated look, but accepts my permission to proceed with his tale. I've never told it before. I thought about how I would tell it, a lot. But I've never told it. Never been asked. I wondered if I'd eventually tell it to a missionary, I'll admit, that they'd be the one who would ask. He gives a barely amused snort of a chortle through his nose. But never expected that I'd tell it to a werewolf. I raise an eyebrow to a slight smile that he gives me. When I don't smile back, his smile vanishes. He turns a sad look to the quinta, taking it in. He uncrosses his legs and leans forward, elbows on his knees and gaze contemplating his hands. I don't know why, but now I've got a feeling. A feeling that this is when I meant to tell it. A minor chill propagates down my brainstem and spine and radiates out to my fingers, toes and tail at the implication of fate, divine intervention, something bigger turning its gaze towards us. Back years ago, I grew up here in Campo Largo. Actually, in the house that you visited. I was my parents' only child. I got my degree down in Conquista. Even that city was exciting, bustling, new. My parents were happy for me, but they worried that I would stray farther. They were right. I wanted more. I moved down to La Plata to find work. It was like another world. Buildings as far as the eye could see, libraries, restaurants, nightlife, culture that wasn't a country festival. So much to explore, so much that I couldn't have even imagined in El Norte, things that previously only existed within the frame of the TV screen. I dabbled in so many new experiences, I was entranced. Though not just by the city. I found someone that I loved, and who loved me in turn. It was the newest, most brilliant experience of the lot for me. He pauses, looking far beyond the walls of the quinta. We had many beautiful days, beautiful nights, but I won't go into that with you. It's not the place for it. We even moved in together. One time, after saving up, we took a trip up here, up north. We saw everything. The waterfalls, the missions, the river, the thermal baths. We eventually ended up here. Not only Campo Largo, but the quinta, and this place. We had an asada. We spent the night. And then we returned to La Plata. It wasn't long though, until I got the word that my father had had a stroke. See, my mother had passed away a couple of years prior, and he needed a caretaker. We couldn't afford one. I couldn't afford one, and also keep the property. I needed to come back to take care of him. The person that I loved didn't want to come, was happy to have visited Campo Largo, but didn't want to move here, live here. Even though we had a house in town and a quinta in El Campo instead of a small dingy apartment. Even as I was packing my belongings into a trunk to move them here, I begged I pleaded. The answer was no. So I came back here, alone. I tried to keep the relationship going, but there wasn't really internet yet. Cell phones were new, and eventually, my calls stopped getting answered. My father died a year or so later. His shoulders slump. I was alone again, alone in this house, in this town. I fell into despair. I needed something to live for. I started exploring. I tried the black magic thing, Elder. I thought that I could use it to get my love back, to get an answer at least. He shudders. I was very wrong. It was awful. I swore it off and have never looked back. And then the missionaries came. I felt the way that they said that I should feel during the lessons, during my readings of scripture. Church was a bit peculiar, but people seemed very friendly. I told you, Elder, I still believe it. I made my decision to get baptized pretty early on, I think, though I took months to commit externally. Missionaries came and went. Eventually, one of them, an Elder Johnson, told me that he was just about to go home and he'd want to witness my baptism before he did. And my misdeeds began to weigh on my soul. I wanted that fresh slate the elders promised. I wanted to be washed clean. I wanted to join God's people. I wanted to go to temple. So I agreed to be baptized. We set a date, Elder Johnson's last Saturday in the mission. That week, the other elders came in from Arambura to do the interview. I remember the one who interviewed me was a waterfowl of some sort, a guy from La Plata. We were halfway through it when he asked something that I didn't expect. The elders hadn't mentioned it. I panicked. And I lied. I passed the interview. I was mortified. I couldn't bring it up. I didn't want to bring it up. But I knew better than to make covenants with God predicated on a lie. So when Saturday came, I just stayed home. They came looking for me. I didn't answer the door. They called. I didn't answer the phone. They did that for at least a couple of weeks. And then the calls and attempted visits stopped. I wondered if I'd see them around town, if they'd ask what happened, but I never saw them again. Every once in a while, I'd see someone from church, but we never talked about those things. He sighs deeply. I made a mistake, one that I've been living with for 7 years. But I don't know if there's a way to avoid it. The gate is narrow, the path is straight, and it's guarded by the Holy One of Israel, right? He employeth no servant there. So I'm here. He exhales, almost appearing to deflate. I realize that despite the story, he didn't mention what he lied about. It could be a variety of things, a serious crime, though that would seem uncharacteristic. Drug use, perhaps? I figure that it's the law of chastity, living with a partner while unmarried, as he apparently did, is really common. We frequently encounter it as a barrier to baptism. Though he wasn't doing that when he was meeting with the elders. Well, he said that he'd tell me the truth. His answers have been weird and unexpected enough that I figure that they must be true, at least in his view, and I don't get the sense that he's toying with me. I'll put the promise of honesty to one more test, and then we'll see about using his tools to address my situation. My voice is more pensive, quieter than it's been at any point this night. Hermano? He looks up at me. Yes? What did you lie about? Haven't put it together yet, eh? Should I have? He seems disappointed, apparently not wanting to spell it out, hoping that I'd assemble the puzzle by myself. I shake my head, no. He nods slightly. My relationship had meant everything to me, despite it breaking my heart. Maybe because of that. Certainly because I couldn't say that it was like a serious crime. I didn't want to discuss it with the missionary that I barely knew. I realize the irony of what I'm doing now, yes, but this is a much stranger situation. But yes, he asked the interview question and they never told me about that question. Not specifically. I didn't anticipate it. I promised God my honesty back then. I'll abide by that promise now. You're the first person that I've told about why I didn't get baptized. He balls up his hands, flexing them as he screws his eyes closed. After a couple of seconds, he releases the tension and breathes. I said that I'd never done anything homosexual. That was a lie, Elder. I think that I see a tear slide down his facial feathers, despite a visible effort to restrain it. Pero lo amé. Lo amé y lo dejé. Time seems to stop. My brain delays while processing, like a car trundling along the dirt road in first gear. I realize that, somehow during this whole story, Drubek had avoided third-person singular pronouns. Spanish lets you do that. But he dropped one, here, now, twice. But I loved him. I loved him, and I left him. The sounds of the world fade. My eyes unfocus. I gasp as something seizes me from the inside. My ears pin back as I jackknife forward, slapping the table with my left hand, claws scraping at the wooden surface as my fingers clench. Drubek jumps. I catch a glimpse of surprise and fear in his eyes before his shape becomes a blurry smudge. Something wordless is clawing its way up from my gut. I try to say something, but nothing comes out of my throat but a breathless gasp. I can't grip the table's flat surface, not even with claws, and my next convulsion tosses me sideways from the table, dislodges me from the chair. The chair tips and clatters to the floor, sounds muffled as my shoulders strike the floor in the other direction. The pain from the impact is duller than it should have been. Everything from the outside is duller. Everything from the inside. Acutely, I feel the thumping of my heart in my brain, in my hands. My eyelids press shut. There is a terrible pressure building, everything within. Oh dear God, it's happening while I'm awake. I open my mouth to cry out, but I can't hear anything. I writhe and twist, muscles and tendons and ligaments tight. The tension draws me taut like a knotted nest of cables pulled in every direction, everyone about to snap. My body freezes, my mind freezes, time freezes, hangs, sits, pause, tipping. Then everything explodes. I explode. My eyes remain open, but the quinta is washed away by a swell of amorphous stars. The cables pulling me apart don't snap. The nest gives away. I give way. But I don't tear, rip, crack. Every point of my body, snout, ears, teeth, hands, claws, feet, tail is pulled outward, stretched, extruded. It pulls my mind too. My mind, drawn out into a line, ductile, undone, denouement, denuded. My skin burns, my fur flame. Unheard, unseen, I scream silent. I. Then it ceases. The tautness releases, lets me drop, slump, fall. I lie here, hard, cold, bright. I lie here, on my side, breathing heavily through my nose. Through my nose? Through my mouth, tongue out. I hear a low, two-beat vocalization, tone rising at the end. It's not something that I recognize. My eyes snap open. My vision's still fuzzy, but I can tell that I'm in some kind of enclosure. And there's something dark coming nearer, hanging over me, bending over me, making that noise. It's one of those two-legged creatures. Oh no, oh no, oh no. And as I look up, my eyes catch sight of a glowing eye that becomes two. And the smell of this place is unfamiliar, unnatural. Something's very wrong here. I need to get away. I need to get away. I shoot at a paw and meet the other creature, pushing it back. A squawk reaches my ears. Good. Something whispers in my mind, that there is a way out behind me. The bit of the walls that are a different color. The creature knocks over. I scramble to my feet, swaying uncertainly like a new pup as I figure out what legs are. I'll have time to figure that out when I'm out. I get out, get out, get out. I stagger over to the dark patch in the wall. No, not that one, the other one. The dirt here is hard to grip, and I nearly slip once or twice. Yes, that one. I try to push it, but it's solid. I can't be trapped. No, 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 no. The shiny thing, halfway up. Touch it, push it down. I extend my neck, bite. It's hard to twist. I click, and the wall moves. I pull. I hurry to insert my nose in the new gap, pushing my face through. Outside, outside, outside. Fresh air, night, good. I don't wait for my eyes to adjust before I squeeze the rest of my body out into the night air. I'm free, I'm free, I'm free. I run. Behind me, I hear the strange call again, quieter, farther. I hear the sounds, but I don't understand them. And why do I care? I'm free, safe, out now. There. Chapter 7, and that's where I'm going to leave it for today. So, it seems that Elder Hartley's trigger was the implication of the same-sex relationships. And I say this because, obviously he just literally completed the transformation, or what it seems like the completed transformation to becoming a werewolf, lobison. At hearing that Drubek is himself a homosexual, or at least participated in a homosexual relationship. And considering the fact that up to this point, Elder Hartley seems to have been sort of wrestling with something himself, it's pretty safe to say that that's probably what he has been hiding for a while, that decided to manifest itself in this transformation. Because even Drubek was like, yeah, you don't really fit the traditional like explanation or whatever of a lobison, of a werewolf, So my guess is it's a lot less like, oh, you were cursed, something was placed upon you, and more like, yeah, your truth is coming out, and it's coming out with full force, and it's taking you with it whether you like it or not. And if it is indeed true, there are little sprinklings here and there which seem to signal the fact that Aldo Hartley knew this about himself, but was keeping it quiet, like shutting it down, because it's like, no, 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 I'm a good Mormon boy. I can't be this. I can't be thinking like this. I can't even be entertaining the thought, which, if I recall, is something that is built into like the whole Mormon thing too, that you kind of don't think about those things. You kind of bury it down and pretend everything is all right. Like even with funerals, normally you go to a funeral, everybody is crying, everyone is mourning, you're probably all wearing black. If you go to a Mormon funeral, you'll be very surprised that a lot of them are sort of celebrating, making it like a party where it's like, wow, you guys don't really seem to care that this person is dead, but it's just because it's part of the Mormon doctrine to never really allow the other emotions that are not happy, calm, that are not jovial to come up. And one of those is grieving, because if you're grieving, it's kind of like being disrespectful to the dead, which is kind of weird. It's like you should be happy that they're going to be with God now. It's like, but yeah, like it's a little weird. But it does also bleed into other things, not just, grieving, the loss of a loved one. It's like, oh, you might have some homosexual urges. Like, no, you tamp that down and you pretend that it never existed. But yeah. So I kind of feel like that's what's going on with Elder Hartley. Also, I was talking to Bajaker about the story because like he's been excited that I was reading it, and we were talking about like what could possibly be talked about in the other routes because there's two actual elders that you can be paired with, Elder Suarez, and the other one that's talked about at the very beginning of the story, which is like a hare that ends up getting paired with the person that you were with, I think. But you can be paired with a hare, and the story plays out a little differently, I'm assuming. But not only that, but there is actually another person that you can speak to instead of Hermano Drubek, which if you recall when you say like, oh, we're gonna go talk to the investigator or that was about to get baptized, which is Drubek, or you can go talk to the golden ticket. The golden ticket hasn't been written out yet. That would be like the other route for Elder Suarez. So I'm wondering if that will lean into Elder Hartley possibly being gay or bi, maybe, or if that's gonna be discussed differently. There's also the whole talk of the cards where Drubik says like, out of the cards that you could have drawn, death is not the worst one you can get because it literally just signifies change. And, depending on how you draw it, like either up or down, it signifies good change or bad change. But you could draw the lightning struck tower, which is really bad, or like you said, the 10 of swords, that signifies betrayal. So like, what if you go with the other one, but you still talk to Drubek and you end up drawing one of the other cards? Or what if when you're with the other elder, which is something that Elder Hartley was mentioning, that sometimes the other elders that return from their missions are not really like, oh, I had such a great time. I learned from these people. I helped these people. And is more like, yeah, like I helped these savages get like in touch with God and whatever, that they really are not the best of the best when they return from their missions. So what if the other elder that Hartley can get paired with is that? And what if you end up investigating Drubek and you end up pulling the like the what is it, the 10 of swords or the lightning struck tower? So like, how is that gonna influence a story? Or is it gonna talk about something else too? Anywho, so yeah, what are your thoughts? Are you excited to see the conclusion of the story? Depending on how long chapter 7 and 8, because I believe that there's 2 more chapters, along with the epilogue of the story, that may be its own video. Like this one, chapter 5 and 6 became one video because chapter 5 was too short. So yeah, there's either going to be 1 more video or 2 more videos, but we'll see. Anyway, so yeah, write down in the comments what you think, and thank you all for watching/listening. If you would like to play Campo Largo yourself, or stay up to date with it, for when the other routes release, or for when the other elder releases with its own set of routes, write it down in the comments, and thank you. Well, not thank you. Go down into the description where you can download and play the game yourself from itch.io. They do have a Patreon and a Ko-fi in case you want to support the project. Yeah. I do have it. In case you would like to support the channel, you can become a channel member. And, it does show that you like my videos. And, it's like, hey, monthly basis. I go, hey, videos scheduled. Watch them sooner. I do have a Ko-fi too, in case, you can't do the whole channel membership thing, or you just don't want to. Also Throne, in case, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next part. Bye-bye.